Okay, this is Pat Wallace, and we're here to talk about Black consciousness today. I've got Mr. Michael Clements, I've got Pastor Streling, and I've got Mr. Arthur Powell. We're going to get right into this. We're going to get deep because I know one thing, that ever since I've been in Tuskegee, Alabama, there's been an issue with this thing about folks and color and the whole issue. I'm going to throw us right into the deep water. Okay, now, the Willie Lynch letter, put it down there. And it said something about posing or pitting black people against each other based on skin color. Now, who wants to start off this discussion about this? Because this is a big, serious, 800-pound gorilla in the room. Let's talk about it. Who's first? Mr. Powell?
Well, let's tell.
Let's do it.
We come down to skin color, black consciousness. The issue of black consciousness, black people look at themselves. And within the context of the black African American family, you find let us say, God's rainbow hue version of humanity. Because within our race, you can find a Chinaman, you can find a Japanese, whatever you're looking for, basically you will find that within our family, based on skin color and similarities. But the commonality is we all black descendants. So we have something in common. And we all suffer from same circumstances as we go through life. And the fact that Willie Lynch said, pit black against black, the light skin against the dark skin, the old against the young, young against the old.
That's right.
We see this something happening today. And we have people who make mega bucks off of this, writing books, giving lectures, talking about the Lynch syndrome. But we, as a people, have never addressed this issue. And I think it's time for us to confront it internally. We cannot overturn history, but we need to realize within ourselves how we discriminate and persecute each other, oftentimes based on skin color and mind thought.
Yeah, I think it's a very sad state of affairs when all of us who are people of color are pitting ourselves against each other. And you know, in the letter, one of the things that I found to be very profound is that he said, this will solve your problem for a couple of 100 years. Mm-hmm. And now look at where we are right now. Today. All this time, it's been what, 160 something years?
160 something years.
So we still got another 150 years of this crap to put up with unless we fix it now. What say you, Mr. Clements?
Well, today, in this day and age, we're trying to come to grips with the fact that Black Lives Matter. Everywhere you go, Black Lives Matter. But we must first and foremost convince ourselves that Black Lives Matter before we convince the rest of the world that Black Lives Matter. Black on black crime, black drive-by shootings. We're not convincing ourselves that we matter to each other. How can we first convince the rest of the world Black Lives Matter? So we got to come to grips with that first. But we go ahead for it further.
You're right, Pastor.
I can just say that I agree with what both gentlemen have just said, but I believe it has to start from the inside, out of we having a mind change of how we view each other. Me not thinking that I'm more than my brother, but I'm just equal to my brother. Thank you.
Yeah, well, what do you say?
See, black consciousness. All these things, when you really get into the understand the depths of black consciousness and the spirit of black consciousness, now it's an issue that's going to take a lot of conversation, discussion.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're going to have to learn how to be passive in our conversation, understanding, not looking backward, but looking at the situation as it exists. And then turning within our own hearts and minds, begin to realize that many of our woes that are upon us, we bring up on ourselves because we have been taught. See, we live in an individual society. Every family is composed of individuals, and they aren't all the same. They don't all think the same, but they're family. So they have something in common. Although often one wants to go his own way as an individual and separate himself from the family. Now we aspire in America to become what they call the American dream. All the glamour and glitter that America has to offer, it is not accessible to the mass of the black family, American black family. While certain individuals, based on their mindset, they can enter the melting pot. And if they continue to conform to the ways of the melting pot, they stay in. If not, they get kicked out. But the majority of us, because we see ourselves as being black, part of the black American family, that's precious to us. We don't want to give that up. We want to be a part of the family. So the family is not allowed in the melting pot. So what we need to do is look internally within ourselves, all the problems that have been spoken on. We have to come up with solutions. And we can come up with solutions.
Well, you know, one of the things that I think that is very important for all of us to understand is the definition of what is black. Because a lot of times, black people, what we call black people, are very willing to include everyone in as people of color. And I had to make a really conscious decision here recently because of our discussions and some of the things that we've talked about. What is black? And black is something that's extremely specific. First of all, black is not an ethnicity. Black is a shared experience. Black is your family, your family, your family, all of our families that went through Jim Crow and all of the discrimination, and our families went through it, right? Okay, see, that's what the shared black experience is. That doesn't mean that we're all Africans. You might be Indian. You might be something else. All of us could be something different, but our shared experience, what your grandmamas went through and my grandmamas went through, that was our shared experience, and that's what makes us black. So us identifying ourselves and recognizing that we all went through this struggle, I think is one of the first steps in understanding and taking this thing to the next level. What do y'all think about that?
True.
Yeah.
The basic commonality.
Right. The basic commonality of what our shared experience.
Shared experience, not
Right.
through ages.
Right.
And really, as I said before, when it comes to us as a people overall, we're that rainbow-hued version of humanity. I mean, God had different colors in his flower garden, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But if you take them all and put them together, make a beautiful bouquet.
Yeah.
So we need to begin to think of ourselves. We have some differences. We think different, but we have the commonality. But through quiet, gentle conversation, seeking understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And also through conversation, we can create a tighter and better bond through the struggle that we went through. We should be more closer because of the struggle, not further apart because of the struggle.
Pastor?
I have no comment at this time.
Well, that's where,
Okay.
that's where they come to, I just said, Lynch syndrome, pitting one against the other.
Right.
That's systematic. We live in a system that can manipulate our mind. We don't control the flesh. We don't control the TV. A lot of things we don't control, but those things come up on us in our mind.
Right.
We don't control the TV. See, the power of darkness works through the TV.
Well, I'm curious, Pastor. The church is a big venue that can help folks out. And I know that many of the churches here in Tuskegee area are very much about empowering people. So how do we use the audience of the congregation to empower people in that way? Is there a way to do that? You know, how do we do that? How does that fit? Is there a way to fit that?
All the way I go at it is this, is try to find out what that person's potential is, people's potentials are, And I work from that standpoint of view, from a spiritual standpoint, to try to empower people that way, to focus really on yourself to a certain degree as to what God has created me for, what is my purpose here in life. This is the way I try to bring it out of people, and doing it that way. And I have found and learned over the past few years that when I did it that way, people begin to want to come out and they want to do things, within the church, to empower themselves, to try to reach that potential, try to work in that purpose that God had them for. With that being said, I think that when a person is working in his purpose, everything, he kind of see life different. And I believe that cuts out the jealousy and the envy that we have among each other. And it works on our pride also. So I can see it, work from that standpoint of view. And that's why I say, we have to start from the inside and working with this and just start looking at you and seeing you and treating you like you are my brother or you are my sister. Thank you.
And down through the ages, the church has been a motivating factor. You can start with Martin Luther King, the church, even Malcolm X, Muslim religion, but it's still religion. It's the motivating factor to drive us to the point where we are today. And we can come to grips with each other that we got to work together. We can move forward. We can move out of the Willie Lynch theory, that we can all pit each other against each other to accomplish the goals of the other races, I would say,
Well, when we discuss black consciousness and how do we reconcile our, anger with each other. I don't understand the black on black crime myself. I really don't understand self-hatred, but we've got to fix this. This is something that we've got to fix. And so when you talk about that Willie Lynch letter and the elements of that are being used against us right now, how do we actually defeat those things? I mean, those are things that were put in place a long time ago. And so they said it was supposed to last a couple hundred years. How do you counteract that? What is the antidote for that?
Well, it's the age-old question. What is the answer? But love is the answer to solve all our problems.
Well, I mean, it's so deeply ingrained in society when you think about it. I mean, you think about it's really a serious problem. This is serious.
It's very serious.
And I mean, until we stop the self-loathing, that we're gonna continue to be that barrel of crabs. So how do we? There's got to be an antidote. And if anybody is watching this program that thinks they have an answer, you can hit us up on that email that's at the bottom of the screen. Send us a message if you got an answer. If you think you want to reply to this, here's your chance. Send us an email.
We don't have an ultimate answer, but we must begin the process, and that process begins through conversation, okay? Now, as I say, we're all different, we think differently, but we have something in common. And so far as overcoming some of the things in turn, we do not discuss them. We must have the discussion. Now, you mentioned about love. Well, Christ said we all love each other, right? But are we taught to love each other? Willie Lynch said, but that probably lasts thousands of years, young. But do we really focus on ourselves as a people? As a people. Do we seriously analyze the black on black crime and all the other things? And I have to acknowledge some of these things have been going on for ages. But they're multiplying now because there are more of us. And our moral values have changed. Preachers don't preach morals like they used to, okay? Those things are different. We've gotten into get 2 cars, 3 cars, whatever. We don't have the same respect for God that we used to have. We need to get back to God. And when I say black consciousness, spread the spirit of black consciousness, that's just like spreading the spirit of Jesus Christ. But we must embrace that spirit. We must begin to talk about it. We must begin to understand the significance of it. We don't do that as a people, maybe on a small scale. But basically, I try to talk to people about, most of them don't even want to talk about it. I asked one elected official about black consciousness. You know what his response was? Sounds like to me somebody would do anything. Now that was not a good response. But I'm saying these things because we do not sit and have serious discussion to come up with solution. We are the solution. And hopefully other congregations meet other congregations, they can engage in conversation. Now, that's something I was accustomed to when I was up south. I don't find people down here, when they come out of church and back down or wherever, talking about what went on in church. Up there, I got invited to a lot of people's churches. I went to a lot of people's churches. We had conversations on different things, whether we agreed or not. But it was an interrelationship. We need to get back to our basic values, which we've lost over the years. And we can't blame our young people for being born into a situation they didn't create. Our elders, along with some of us ourselves, not blaming an individual. I look at the big picture. We got lost, and our children are born into it.
Well, we come to grips in this day and age that a lot of black people are only chopping at half the weight, you know. We've come a long ways. We got our own hairstyles, own clothing styles, own ethnicity, you know, that will identify us from any other race, you know. We hadn't gotten lost in the American whole scene, you know. We are becoming identified as blacks, you know, and that's good, you know, but we still need to come to grips with talking, like you said, among each other so we can give the answer that Christ gave us. Love each other. That's all he asked us, to love each other. So we must talk to each other, you know, just giving each other the high five, the dap every day. That's not the whole picture. That's an image that you can project to the rest of the world. But to really love one another, you got to really come to grips and talk and, you know, get together and identify some of the problems that we're having and see can we help each other. You know, most people, and it's sad to say that most of our big leaders and big progressive black Americans are getting to be more self-centered, you know. They don't want to pull everybody else up by the bootstraps when they got themselves up, you know. We got to get together with everybody. We all got to get together. The struggle is not just for one. The struggle is for all of us, you know.
So what is the next step, gentlemen? What is our next step, Pastor?
Well, I can only say, you know, at this time that this is a beginning of a process that we are doing to be, to try to make people aware of what's going on, and that we need to pay close attention to not just saying, you know, black lives count, but we're doing what we can out in our community to try to change that in the way, you know, the way that we are thinking. And I said this is only a process and it's going to take time, I believe, you know, to do that. But we can start with our younger generation, you know, with them and start teaching them about loving their brother, you know, in spite of all. Don't love him because of what he's got, but love him for who he is. Thank you.
That's a good one. Mr. Powell?
Well, as I say, this is the beginning. And to sow seeds, you got to get your seeds together to begin to study. So basically what we need is people, involvement. And we also need people where we can have like a council. Let's say a council of understanding, where we'll meet and we'll discuss a whole bunch of issues and see if we can get some clarity. But then we want, at the same time, we want to share that throughout Macon County, from churches, however, getting people involved. But we need a core group of people who will make the time that we can meet and be focused. Black consciousness, understanding black consciousness. Because that's the most important issue, understanding the black consciousness and spreading that spirit throughout the community, realizing the impact they can have within the family. Not only within the family, but as we begin to uplift ourselves, show more respect, and a whole bunch of things begin to simmer down, other people are going to see us different. We cannot live in this world alone, but we can become a better example of ourselves to open up other doors of opportunity, that we can provide more things within our community because they see us differently. And we have self-value. We should show them that self-value, that self-determination to arise, to uplift ourselves. We forgive ourselves for ourselves. Okay, so we're going to call it reconciliation as we go along. It's not about who you are, what you've done, what you're doing. It's realizing where you are, where we are, and realizing that we all want to go forward. We want to strive for something better. So it's not really about the past. The past is something we're supposed to learn from and draw strength from in order to go forward. And asking God to help us overcome that power of darkness. Because it's not just flesh and blood that we're fighting against.
Mr. Clements, where do you think we should start?
Well, just like you said, and it's just short and simple. This is a start, and we have to start. Once you start, you can go forward from there. You know, and we as a group here, we're trying to make a start, and we're trying to make an impression. And this is our first impression of our group to move forward. You know, we're gonna keep it up. You know, a lot of time groups start and fall short by the wayside, but we're gonna keep this going and make sure that we try to reach the rest of the world in terms of black consciousness, you know, so we can make our race better as a people, better at overcoming the struggle. And mind you, most people feel that the struggle is over. The struggle is still beginning. It's still going on. And we got a long ways to go. And we got to try to stop anything that's gonna slow us down in the process, you know. And it seems that, like I said earlier, that the more some of us become very progressive, we forget about the rest of us, you know. We all got to maintain that same level. We got to stick together and love each other.
Well, in the spirit of black consciousness, though, really, when you think about it, and the reality of what we're facing now, there's got to be some kind of way that we can, I guess, bridge that gap between the young people. I mean, I know you work with the young people all the time.
Right.
So there's got to be some kind of way to get that movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, because right now it looks like it's kind of chaotic, and they're interrupting people's speeches and stuff. What would you advise to a group like that to like really make themselves relevant? Because they're just disruptive, it seems to me now.
Well, it goes back to what's happening among the black family. The black family is torn apart. Most people, and they laugh about it, they even make jokes about the fact that there's a single parent household. The mother, 7 kids. The mother, 3 kids. Where's the father? Nobody wants to emphasize the fact that the father should be there in the household. You know, a broken family, you know, it's not going to work. You got to have that father figure. Now, what most people try to do to bridge the gap between not having a father is mentoring we as black people must mentor our young black kids, you know, because when they grow up, a child can't raise himself. Do we agree?
That's right.
Because they're gonna do what they want to do. But if he's mentored, then hey, he's gonna be raised in proper perspective. His mother got to work, then what? No father there. Then they're gonna start to raise themselves, you know.
Well, when we talk about black consciousness and black lives really truly mattering, and we have that circumstance, there's got to be some kind of way that we can mitigate that problem, and to get is it through music, video? There's got to be a way that we can get across, because now I know one thing, the Satchels up at the warehouse up there, they do a series of conscious music that refers to Black Lives Mattering. So is that a way? I mean,
Well,
I know
got
that's
to-
one way, but
You got to tap into a child's potentials. You got to make him feel that he's worth something. As long as the child feels he's not worth anything, he will act out his whole problems, you know. Nobody cares about me. Then nobody cares what I do. And I do this, I do that. And like I've told people over the years that there's a lot of things that go on, entities in this world. There's good and there's evil, okay? In this respect, then we are gonna allow our children to be raised by the evil aspects around here. Drug dealers raising kids, you know, teaching kids, hey, this is what you do. Hey, you see what I got? I got Jordan tennis shoes. I got, hey, down rings. All the, you know, materialistic things in life that I got that you know you don't have. So they are trying to convince the children that hey, this is the way to be more productive. And it's not the way, you know. The hard way, and the easy way is not always the best way. Sometimes the hard way is better. You know, you learn, you know, you don't wind up dead, you don't wind up in prison, you know, because you're trying to do the right thing.
yeah, you're right.
You see, I didn't go to college and all that crap. I realized one thing. Like, gave these guys 3 papers when we first met, not you, because you weren't there. And the last one said, with God or without God. And since we've gotten away from God, I don't care what we do, if we don't get back to God, we end up with the same problem. As I said, our moral values, our moral teaching happened long before these children were born. I remember when he was a knee-high to a drop of water. So we don't think the same, okay? I'm talking about basic, the basic. We used to be taught about love, respect. And I know a whole bunch of things happen to cause us to get away from it. So it's not taught like it used to be. Mentoring, once upon a time, when I was up by his daddy's house and I got off slack, his daddy could check me. Can't do that now. That was mentoring. Care what side of town you on. Especially when they know your mom and dad.
Like the old saying, it takes a whole village to raise a
It
child.
was in the community, basically, children, watching over each other's children. We got away from it. Talk about, yeah, there's a lot of infiltration. People brought a lot of things into our community, but we bought into it. Even after we realized that it was bad for us. We still continue to get into it. And I remember we got our first radio. Finally, somewhere in the 50s, we got a television. That television relays how many messages, of evil? It's in there. Immorality. It's in there. The radio. And the funk music, the rap. How many black people got rich off of rap? How many black children died because of rap? How many blacks got locked up in jail because of rap? Huh?
Right.
Prince of the air, power of darkness, spiritual wickedness, flowing into our children's mind. And many reasons why it got to the extent that it's in, but it happened. And I just say, we allowed it to happen because we did not oppose it strongly enough. So we saw it coming. Hippies and the yippies, they're supposed to be white, right? Free sex and all that. How many black folks when I got into that? And how many of them was in the 35s and the 40s, had 10 years old and 15 years old children, but they went out there because it was a new experience and they wanted to try it. So they got caught. They started doing it. What are they going to tell the children? Next thing you know, the children got into it. And they had children. And we as a whole weren't trying to stop it. We'd say blah, blah, blah. But we allowed it to continue. And yes, some of our preachers got caught into it, okay?
It goes back to what you were saying, preaching morals. You got to preach morals. And back to what you were saying about the rap, people, we're selling our race out by gangster rap. Kids immortalize these rappers, you know. Hey, they idolize them, you know. A rapper, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, talking about killing, drive-by shooting. And somewhere along the way, they fit in their mind that, hey, that they can do this. Smoking weed, smoking marijuana. They fit in their mind that, hey, this is okay. But it's not okay. They did an interview with Dr. Dre some years ago. He said, you know, they condemned him. But he said, don't condemn me. I never shot anybody. I don't do this, I don't do that. But you sing about it. And weak-minded people will follow you. Okay? These kids believe in you. They wear your tennis shoes. They dress like you.
They buy your headphones.
They buy your headphones. Anything you do, you are setting the tone for black consciousness. Why don't you start preaching about, hey, get up, get your briefcase, go to college. You don't want to do that, you know. And then when they finally get to the point where they want to talk about college, they still inject sex. Too much sex, too much violence. That has no place in college. You're supposed to be serious. I went to college. I graduated from Tuskegee University. Seriousness, you know. It's what you need. Education is what's going to solve a lot of our problems. And that's what has helped black race to continue, you know. The HB, you know, U's, they are helping, you know, solve a lot of our problems today.
Now listen, you say, the point I was trying to make, when we as a people, before these children were born, didn't do nothing because of rap and all that other stuff, we allowed it to happen. Not personally, but I'm saying we as a people allowed it to happen because we didn't oppose it in the early stage. You understand?
It's too late.
It's too late because we allowed it to, what I'm saying as a whole. So as I say, black consciousness is not about trying to overturn the past. But black consciousness is about realizing what is happening today. And if we have some experience in the past that we draw from, we can't spend our time talking about, you know, but we have to come up with solutions looking at today and how to involve our young people to look forward, to appreciate what themselves and each other. Now I have some thoughts, but it's got to come down the road. In order for those to take root, as I said before, I need some people who can sit at the table and focus on one thing, not way back now. Let's just talk about black conscience, the spirit of black conscience, and the potential that it brings. That's all, nothing else. If people can sit on the table and do that for an hour, just say an hour, but just focus on that one thing without bringing a whole lot of things in, we can come up with some clarity. ways to move forward. And yeah, I want some young people, need some young people.
Got to have.
Because this ain't about me. This is about my great-great-grandchildren, if it works. Because I tell people, if we don't do something now, there ain't no future.
It's gonna be
There
worse.
ain't no
It's
future.
gonna be worse.
Well, gentlemen, I think we've made a very, very good start. Next week, we'll continue the discussion because I don't think that this is something that can be done in a 1 hour program. Now, I invite all of the viewers to look at that website, at that email at the bottom of the screen. And if you have questions, comments, or any kind of feedback for us, these gentlemen are here to respond to it. So check out that email and hit us up. Next week, we're gonna have a new edge on the same topic of Black consciousness. We're gonna get deep into the nuances of it. So join us next week for another episode